Shalom, 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 guys. I tell you what, this is an exciting thought I just had to come back to after yesterday's broadcast. Um, and I don't know if I even shared this with anybody, so it may take a few seconds here to get people on board. Um, all I did was just go live. So, and normally we'll see about 1,000 people hop on board here. Let me just say first, before I get into what my thoughts are here, are you guys aware that President Trump is talking about doing a blackout on reporting on what's going on? Yes. As far as what's going to happen here in the Middle East, President Trump is talking about doing a media blackout. Now, I talked to Dr. Pigeon today because Dr. Pigeon, of course, being an attorney, I want to make sure what's happening, when I can and cannot say anything. But this is really getting nuts, really crazy. And by the way, Dr. Pigeon is going to be on Sunday night on our live broadcast. He'll be coming on there. Roddy Brown, I meant to get Roddy on already as well for our Danoon Institute program there. I'll get back with Roddy right after Shabbat there. We're going to do a little bit of teaching together, and I know that's going to be a major blessing for you guys. Roddy, though, you better get ready. Roddy is not the type of guy to play church with you at all. He's very serious, lovely brother. If you want to get an idea who Roddy is, all you need to do is go over to right here on Israeli News Live, type in Roddy Brown, Israeli News Live. You'll see where we talk about the Third Temple and the Temple Mount itself. Especially because I get a lot of people commenting about that to me. Steve, what is it? What is it with the Third Temple? What's your thoughts on this? Is that site actually it, or is it another place down there at the City of David? I totally believe that it is a Jesuit move to try to say that it's at the other location. If you listen to Roddy and myself and speak about it, Roddy is very knowledgeable. I've actually seen the aqueducts, the entire water system for the Temple Mount itself, and it is an incredible system that was actually used to get the water on the Temple Mount. Otherwise, I really believe Bob Kernuk and all these guys here are just falling into a plot there, and the reason why they're trying to say that it was actually over there on the City of David, although they do make what you would consider to be a decent argument, is because the Vatican itself owns all of that land. And so therefore, if they do build a third temple over there, guess who's going to get to control that particular space? You got it, the Vatican. Speaking of the Vatican, the Silk Road, China's 900 billion new Silk Road, what you need to know. This is on weforum.org. And I bring this up because, after getting that email from some friends there that have lived in Iran in the past, have just was sharing some insights with me about Iran so I would have a better picture of what's going on in the country. And that's when it just came kind of like an inspiration. I don't want to say it's a leading of God. I don't know. But when, although they didn't mention anything about that, but when it just come to me that this is why Iran is targeted. And not just Iran, as I said last night. They're also were targeting the 7 nations. They wanted to take out Iraq. They wanted to take out Syria. They wanted to take out Lebanon, Sudan, Egypt, Libya, and Iran, finishing off with Iran. But why Iran? That's what didn't make sense, all right? Well, when you begin to look at what the Silk Road that the Chinese are doing, then it might make more sense to you why. Now, it says here, you've probably heard of the Silk Road, the ancient trade route that once ran between China and West during the days of the Roman Empire. Notice that terminology. The Silk Road during the Roman Empire, and they're doing what? Reviving the Roman Empire, the Babylonian kingdom, the mystery Babylon, right? The West during the days of the Roman Empire is how the Oriental silk first made it to Europe. It's also the reason China is no stranger to carrots. And now it's being resurrected. Announced in 2013 by President Xi Jinping, a brand new double trade corridor is set to reopen channels between China and its neighbors in the West, mostly notably Central Asia, the Middle East, and Europe. According to the Belt and Road Action Plan released in 2015, the initiative will encompass land routes, the belt and maritime routes, the road, and with the goal of improving trade relationships, the region's primary, through the infrastructure investments. Now, this map here in behind me, this shows the Silk Road, all right? Coming down through Uzbekistan, Turkestan, right through Iran. No other way to go. Iran is the pivotal country. Now, they're also talking about attaching that road going across Syria, through Israel, into Egypt. And no wonder why, when they get over here to Egypt, they want to take and they want to have regime change in Libya, Egypt, and Sudan is now also the hot spot. Now, I know that a lot of this has got to do with the fact that that Silk Road is going to also turn and come down this area here as well. But you got to remember, there's a new interest in Africa. All the nations are building military bases. China, Russia, United States, and a bunch of other countries, all building military bases in Africa. Some say they're doing that because they're going to have a nuclear war up here in the northern hemisphere. And of course, the storms that will drag the radiation all over there will kill everybody. So therefore, you need to be in the southern hemisphere. China is not going to be touched because China is the new industrialized nation there. But because it would be Russia and the United States, this northern hemisphere would be far more dangerous. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows really as far as that goes. But what is interesting is the fact that Iran is the one place where they can't get around it. Now, I showed this to you guys the other day on Google Maps, and I'll go right back to that once again there. Let's just pull it up, because to be able to see Iran and then to understand why Iran is such a pivotal player in this is obvious right on the map itself. China is here. The railroad comes up through here, through Uzbekistan, down through Turkmenistan, all right? But then it has to go through China. Otherwise, it has to jump way up and go through Russia. Well, they don't want Russia involved in all of this. Not to mention, it would be way out of the way, and it would be kind of like the situation with the ship trade routes as it is. And that's what's saving billions of dollars. But to get into Europe, which would come through Turkey, all right, or to go down towards Africa, you have to go through Iran. And they just got to have a regime change. They can't control the regime that they have now. And that's why. My thought. That's just my thought. I can't say that that's 100% right. But let me show you something, though. Even the Russian insider is totally mystified as to why Russia hasn't done anything to slow Israel down in their retaliation towards the Iranians, or even hitting Syrian targets inside of Syria. And the Russian insider, first time I've ever seen the Russian insider really come out and blast the Russian government. Russia's lack of reaction to Israel strikes in Syria is disgusting, the title of the article comes out. And the guy is very blatant in what he's saying on there. All right? You have to understand, Putin is more concerned about the economics of what's happening as well, and what part he will play in that, in his country. As he's always said about the United States, take our national interests into consideration. Well, let's go back to this particular map right here. All right? Notice the Silk Road also goes to Russia, goes to Moscow. So the Silk Road is important. But the question is what are all these nations in here fighting over this area for then? Well, if we can take and maybe zoom in a little bit on this map here, because they're showing us the actual land base there, it looks like, now I can't say for sure, let's jump back over to Google Maps there. Well, no, they don't have to go through Syria to get there, other than when they do the Silk Road down into Egypt and stuff. And that may be where Russia comes into play as well, and why Russia would like to be a part of Syria in this war here, so that the Silk Road, when it crosses, Russia gets a piece of the pie as well. Not to mention, Russia's also been trying to galvanize a closer relationship with Egypt. So every one of these big players in here want a part of the Industrial Revolution of China, seeing she's the new superpower of economics, and I think they all want the part of the pie. And they saw the United States take down Iraq. They know that the United States and Israel are planning on taking down Iran as well. And why else? Want to control the money. That's just a little bit odd if you ask me. And here's what's interesting too. After Netanyahu visits Russia to back off of Russia is going to back off of the S-300 missile transfer to Syria. Israel has made repeated efforts to persuade Moscow not to sell the S-300 to Syria, as it fears this would hinder its aerial capabilities against arms shipments. Every one of these countries are in on this. You know, the only way, this is why I say, you know what will cause all the nations to come against Israel? Because all these nations they're toppling, they always put in dictatorships. You ever notice that? Dictatorships go into play. Why? That way the people don't get any of the money. Only the wealthy get the money. The dictators get the money. And of course, if they want to stay in good standings with the West, who conquers their nation, you got to pay the piper if you want him to pipe. That's why, anyway, that's my thoughts on this. Don't know what you guys think about that. If you do like the idea, thumbs up the video there. Let people know what you think about it. And please definitely do support the broadcast. If it's something that you appreciate what we do, take time. Donate to IsraeliNewsLive.org. We appreciate your support. God bless you. Good evening. Shabbat Shalom to all of you that are watching this evening. And also, those of you here on Israeli News Live, we're going to be doing next week on Shabbat Live on Danun Institute. Don't forget to check out the video. We're going to go into a teaching on women. Well, the people that were there today would be a little bit surprised. I'm Steve Ben-Nun with Israeli News Live, Erev Tov.